Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have John Forrest, founder and CEO of Veravas. And today we're going to be talking all about his journey to business ownership, his challenges, best practices, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's like to own a company on the scale of Veravas. So if this is your first time to the show, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Well, John, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Heather. It's really nice to be with you.
Well, we can all see if you're watching on YouTube that you're in Austin today, even though that's a
Beautiful
background.
Austin.
You're coming to us live from downtown almost.
That is correct. It's a beautiful city. I love being in Austin, and such great people here.
It really is, really is. Well, why don't you just set the stage for us and for our audience and give just a brief background about who you are and about Veravas.
Sure. Well, I'm, again, John Forrest, CEO and co-founder of Veravas. First, Veravas, the name, it comes from Latin. It means truth in the vessel. And you think about truth in the vessel and what we are as a diagnostic company and looking at accuracy and early detection of disease. And so the name really defines who we are. We're really about accuracy and finding that truth in a patient sample.
That, I mean, that's a lot from what you just said in that one sentence. Early detection of disease, like you just kind of said it like it's normal for all of us. So can you can you dive into that a little bit more and what that looks like?
Yeah, well, so maybe I could give you a little bit of background
Yeah.
of the company, because when we first set out to start the company, we were really focused on those areas of early detection and accuracy. In diagnostic testing, all too often, you get a result, a doctor orders a test, gets a result, and the test may or may not be accurate. And there are things in a patient sample that can create a false result. Blood and saliva and urine, all these different kinds of samples. There's lots of things going on in that sample that can throw off a test, and it's hard to know, because a physician is just going to get a result. They're having to trust that. And so when we set out to really look at solving a business problem, we were thinking that we needed to make tests more accurate, so that brings more trust into diagnostics, but also early detection of disease. Because if we can detect something early, we can, of course, have an action to do something about it to, change the trajectory of the outcomes. And so early detection and accuracy do go hand in hand. And so what we did was I guess in starting the company, I guess like any business owner, you want to transform the space. How do you do that? Well, in my case, I felt like I needed to find, the best scientist in the world that understands diagnostics, that, can truly make a difference. And in my research, I found Josh Solo, who is our Chief Scientific Officer. And he had a very novel patent and using nano-bead technology to clean patient samples of all these things that can cause a bad result, but also early detection or being able to measure these substances that are in a patient sample in very, very low concentrations. So we call that platform Vera Bind. And now that we are 7 years into the company, we have perfected our platform that allows us to create these novel tests. And we have, very excited to say, we have used this platform for our first commercial test, which is called Vera Bind Tau. And it is an absolute revolutionary test for the early detection of Alzheimer's.
Wow.
And so when you think about Alzheimer's, you think about two hallmarks of the disease. You have these amyloid plaques and you have tau tangles. Both need to be present for Alzheimer's disease. And plaques that come are really more risk factors. You can have a lot of these plaques in the brain that don't lead to neurodegeneration. But if you have this tau protein, that leads to neurofilament tangles that ends up killing, these brain cells,
Wow.
misfolded protein, and that causes the cognitive decline. What our test does is it allows for detection in a blood sample of this pathology going on in the brain for tau, and that it detects Alzheimer's and other misfolded protein issues with tau. So it covers more than just one form of dementia. We're able to asymptomatically or detect it years prior to symptoms and know that you already have the biology going on in the
Wow.
brain prior to you knowing about it through loss of memory or having these cognitive symptoms. What's also really exciting about our test is that because we offer a score with it, you'll be able to have potential monitoring, staging of the disease, and we're working toward creating new studies to prove that out. But that's gonna be another great opportunity, because we anticipate that we'll be able to monitor a therapy, monitor lifestyle changes, and look at different ways to help change the trajectory of the disease, not just detect it.
That's amazing. I mean, such important work. I mean, there's not even a word for it. Importance like,
Exciting.
yeah, it's exciting for sure. So just to understand, what you're creating is a product and a research data to give to who?
Well, we have different customers that we're
Okay.
focusing on. So obviously, physicians today, whether you're in traditional, a neurologist or a gerontologist or primary care, you need a tool to help aid in diagnosing. This would be one tool in the toolbox. If I'm on the functional health side, where we're looking at preventing disease and looking at lifestyle changes and such, it's another tool for them, to help those patients both to change that trajectory and by detecting early. In both cases, they need this tool to be able to do that. We also are going to be launching a consumer approach where consumers can come to our website and be assigned a neurologist to help them order the test and provide some guidance. So that's going to be coming this summer. And then, of course, the traditional approaches of using this test, which is a really novel biomarker. It's very different. I can talk more about why it's different in a minute. But but having this as a way of detecting this this disease early allows pharma companies and research companies to identify these patients for clinical trials and to see if they would be a really good target for the drug. But then also for insurance companies, it's important for them to look at a population and say, I need to identify the risk, these patients that are potentially at risk, because if we catch them early, we can prevent ER visits and we can prevent, potential falls and, mistaking of medications, all those things that can happen when you're not thinking clearly when cognitive decline happens. If we can get ahead of it, we can change both the cost and how they get reimbursed. And I think that is super, super exciting. So we have a lot of different ways that we are going to market with this test. But the key thing is really the patients and what we can do to help change, how we think about diagnosing and how we think about the progression and the treatment of this.
What makes you so passionate about this?
Well, I mean, it's tough to talk about, but my own mother passed just a month ago, and one of her symptoms was dementia, and it's dementia impacts so many people, not just in my own family, but I've known a lot of people who have been impacted by this. Our entire executive team, as a parent or loved one that's impacted by this, so we're all very passionate
Mm-hmm.
what we're focused on. Of course, we have this breakthrough test, for tauopathies, but we plan to use this for other things too. So it's this misfolded protein that we're issue that is so common in a lot of diseases. We think we can have a huge impact in Parkinson's and other
Wow.
neurodegenerative diseases, as well as cancer and other things. So regardless of the the issue that hits your heart,
Mhm.
I think that it's important to have a tool to be able to detect it early so that you can do something about it, because there's just too many tragedies that are out there, and we want to change the whole dynamic. And that's really why we started the company, why I'm so passionate about it, is that you got to get ahead of it in early detection, and doing it
Mhm.
accurately is important.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to say my condolences. I know that's a hard story, and I appreciate you being so vulnerable. And I see the passion behind it. And I think, or I know that most businesses or founders like you have a personal story, and it's why there's so much longevity and passion behind it. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Um, I do want to change gears a little bit because I feel like when we hear stories like this about such a groundbreaking business that's really positioned to change things worldwide. We want to know, how did you even launch? It's You're 7 years in. Can you dive into that journey from, you know, the journey to possible VCs or getting people like Josh on board? Can you walk us through that journey?
Yeah. So again, in the beginning, we were thinking about diagnostics and many of the issues around diagnostics, and there was not a whole lot of changes really have happened in that space
Mhm.
7 years ago. This was even before COVID, and so the so looking at the issues is really about making sure we had accurate tests, and early detection was still quite the challenge. A lot has progressed over the last 7 years. But really, to get started, is really about, if you're going to start a business, it's really, if you're going to be transformative, you got to have the best people in the world. And so,
Mm.
I believe that in the beginning, I believe that today. It's like you have to have the right technology and the right people in place to achieve this. And so I actually called the Carmen Wiley, who was the president of the American Association for Clinical Chemistry. The AACC at the time is just, which is now known as ADLM. And I contacted her, and we got to talking about the issues in diagnostics and so forth. And she introduced me to Josh, and that's how I got to meet Josh, because she was like, I know a really successful scientist who
Mm.
has has done some big things in diagnostics previously, has a very novel patent. You should talk to him. And so I did, and so talked to Josh, and we decided to start this company, and actually brought on Carmen too. She got busy with COVID and needed to leave, but that was back at when we got started. So Veravas, we started together and it really just takes a lot of time in diagnostics. It's one of these industries where you can't fake it until you make it. You have
Mm.
to have all the science, all the technology, all the testing, make sure it's done right before you can launch it into the market, and that's what we've done. And and I think if I were to do things differently, I probably would have tried to raise more money, and to have a longer runway to make sure that
Mm.
we could have potentially done it much faster. We decided to do it by funding the company, not using traditional VC dollars. We've funded it a little bit differently. We do have about 3 million remaining for investment if anyone's interested. And on our Series A investment, we also have a very novel royalty investment on the specific test that's available. But anyway, I think that we started to do it right, the right way, and instead of just looking at developing a test, we wanted to develop a platform that can create better tests, very novel approaches, and it's really all starts with the sample. Like I mentioned before, samples are very complex. There's a lot going on in a human sample. Lots of things happening there that can complicate diagnostic testing. And so what we wanted to do is to simplify that, to make it easier to diagnose things and to do it accurately. And so using Josh's knowledge and expertise and getting the right people on board, we've created a platform that both can make existing tests more accurate, as well as create these novel breakthrough tests like the one we have for Vera Bind tau for Alzheimer's.
How many people do you have working on your team currently?
Well, we have a pretty small team, but that's about to change. We're growing very, very fast. We only have 12 people right now.
Yeah. 12 smart people, I'm assuming.
I think so. I think I have the best small team in the world for this area. But we have lots of partners. We can't do this on our own. We have, we have a lot of partners that are helping us. So it's a good core group. We're going to be expanding that very fast over the coming months as we now have just launched this new Vera Bind tau test for asymptomatic detection of tau. And so we're going to be going through a great and massive change in the trajectory of the company. We're transitioning from 100% research and development to more of a sales and marketing organization, because we need to get the word out to everybody needs to know about this test, because your dementia can affect so many people. And so I would encourage your audience really to talk to their physicians, to come to the website and sign up to begin ordering tests. We can do that today.
That's awesome.
And again, this summer we anticipate offering the test to consumers with
so this summer, you're saying this summer consumers can go and buy and start doing their at-home test.
But let me specify.
Yeah, for sure.
It's allowing consumers and patients to come to the site and request a test, but we are going to assign a neurologist to work with them. So it's not just a consumer ordering a life-changing test. It is going to always be under the guidance of a physician to help them, because this is not a skin rash. This is life and death, and we want to make sure that patients are taken care of and have a proper plan if they get diagnosed early. And because in having that, we prefer, of course, using your existing physician to help them guide you or to refer you to the right type of care. But in any case, you have to know the information. You need to know if you have this going on. If you know it early, you can do something about it, and you get connected with the right care team that can help you. Because Alzheimer's is not a death sentence. It isn't anymore. You can change the trajectory of this disease with lifestyle changes if you can get there early and detect it early. And there are some really promising drugs that have started to come out. There's 200 drugs in the pipeline. We believe that it's really exciting, what's happening, but you don't have to wait for a drug. You can make changes today, with, diet and sleep and, stop drinking, or just changing, these habits. We hope that our test is a true wake-up call to help people understand what's going on so they can do something about it. It's really up to the patient at the end of the day, regardless of their care provider, to take action and to actually comply with with what the doctor is suggesting as treatment.
It's so encouraging to hear all of that. It really is. This is such an important company and what you're doing. So, what would you consider being some of the roadblocks, even currently, to achieve the goal that you have?
Well, I mean, there's just normal roadblocks. I mean, first and foremost, making sure that we have enough funding to get to the market that we need to, and
Right.
we need to finish up our Series A and other funding mechanisms, to have enough money to get to get there, and that'll happen because this is such an amazing opportunity. But
Yeah.
the other thing is just about execution and
Mm.
having the right team in place, that have, we have very strong core values and beliefs in our company and what our mission is and what we're trying to accomplish. One of the challenges that we're going to have, of course, is maintaining that culture as you grow. So
Mm.
you can have a core culture. We want to make sure that we extend that core culture, when we double, triple, and grow
Yeah.
exponentially, to make sure that we keep patients first, that we
Mm.
are driving our core mission, that we're all, in it, to make a difference. And
Yeah.
that's a core value of ours, that if you're not in it to make a difference, you don't need to be working for Veravas.
Yeah. I love that. That's your core value. You said keeping patients first and making a difference. It just shows what your priority is. You're not in this just to make a name, but to change the world. And from your own personal experience and friends probably around you, um, you are on that right path. So when you look at the future, 3 to 5 years down the road, where do you see Vervas?
Well, but first and foremost, we want to make sure that we're successful with this test, because it is
Yeah.
truly a game changer, of course. But we don't want to stop with that. I mean, we want to have a new test for Parkinson's, for other
Mm.
neurodegeneration, as well as for various cancers. There are a lot of things that are not being addressed today in diagnostics, and we feel like that we have, again, a platform that allow us to really, truly create a lot of novel tests that nobody else
Mhm.
can really do. And we have IP protection to help us, protect, what we're doing. So I'd say 5 to 10 years, I hope that we are solving a whole host of problems. Now that we have the first breakthrough under our belt, let's go after the next one and the next.
I love that. As a leader in the position that you're in, what kind of support do you have around you? Where do you look to just be even encouraged during the day, or go get wisdom from someone, you know, I don't know anybody that might be smarter than you, but you know where I'm trying to go.
Oh, there are lots of people smarter than I am. But I would say, obviously having very strong family. I've got
Mm.
a incredible son that is supportive. I've got really great friends that support me, and they all understand my passion. This is what I live and breathe for.
Mm.
But it's also the people that we have, not just in the company, but the partners that we have. I mean, collaboration is such
Mm.
an important thing. We have some really strong people on our board that help provide guidance. Stephen Hahn was a former FDA director and chief clinical administrator for MD Anderson, is on our board. And we have really, a strong group of business leaders and that are giving us advice and kind of showing us
Amazing.
what to avoid. But at the end of the day, it's feeling comfortable with who I am and what we're trying to
Mm.
accomplish. I mean, we wake up, I tell my team almost every meeting, it's like every day that our test is not in the market, it's not helping someone.
Mm.
And so it's really important for us that we get it to market as fast as possible.
Yeah.
We learn from those that have gone down this path and made mistakes. Hopefully, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have issues and bumps, but at the end of the day, those are just
Yeah,
speed bumps. We're gonna be very successful with this company, and I'm super excited about it.
that's awesome. Well, before we get to some rapid fire questions, I just want to ask, kind of, trailing off that last um, question, is just how important is it for a leader like yourself to have that community that you just talked about, your board, your partners? Why is that so important?
Well, I know that I don't know everything.
Mm,
And it's so important to talk to people who do have lots of experience and knowledge. And just being able to ask questions and understand wisdom from those that have gone through this, we're in an area that I may not have knowledge of, or just to provide
hmm.
guidance and support. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been incredible, and I'm just blessed.
it's awesome. It's a good answer. All right, you ready to kind of change the tone a little bit and have some
Sure.
fun with some rapid fire questions?
Uh-oh, here it comes.
All right. All right. What would you say is the key to success for you?
Passion.
Mm,
No question. It's like I have to believe in what I'm doing,
yeah.
and I do at the core. I think you've seen that today. It is
Yeah.
it's driving me every day, and I think that's important for anyone. If you're going to start up a business, you have to be really
Mm,
passionate about what you're doing,
yeah.
and know that you're doing the right thing in the right way and for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what drives me.
That's good. What would be your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Well, certainly starts with passion. I think the
Yeah.
other is um, surround yourself with good people, and it
Mm,
doesn't have to be it could be within and outside the company to make sure you're getting good advice. I think
hmm.
for entrepreneurs that are starting up a company, I think it's important to make sure that you do raise the right amount of funds, make sure you have enough runway to accomplish your goals. Know that especially in science and biotech, again, you can't fake it till you make it. It takes a little bit longer than you might think, to get a product to market. But as long as you do it in the right way, and for the right reasons, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
So, again, I also would recommend, we're part of a group called Startup Health, which has
Mm,
been very valuable. There's also another group called the Bullpen. The Bullpen is uh, a, a group that I'm very fond of leading CEOs and biotech, and it's really an opportunity to talk to other CEOs in the space and
yeah.
to learn. And
That's great advice.
yeah, I would, and feel free to contact me directly if you have any questions on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to.
Awesome.
I love helping others and passing it forward so that I can, you know, you know, share whatever knowledge that I have,
Yeah.
what I've
That's
learned
great.
in this space.
All right. One more or two more, actually, rapid fire. Book or podcast? What are you reading or listening to right now?
Wow. I, right now I'm reading. I'm actually, been reading some books from Dale Bredesen. I do recommend actually the new Surgeon General, who's been nominated. Kelly Means has a really good book called Good Energy. I would certainly recommend that. It's really about thinking about preventing disease. I spent
Mhm.
a lot of my time, because I'm passionate about what I'm doing, is well,
Yeah.
what are the things that we can prevent in Alzheimer's? What are the lifestyle changes that can be made? I'm
Yeah.
spending a lot of time learning, and I enjoy learning. It's
Good.
always fun to do that. Maybe a little boring for some, but for me, it's I can't get enough knowledge. Again, it's about making a difference and
Yeah.
in changing healthcare, and I need to have more knowledge. I'm always open to new ideas. So again, with
Awesome.
podcasts as well, it's really about getting more familiar with the space.
Yeah. I love it. Well, we already talked about people can connect with you on LinkedIn. Any other way they can follow and keep up to date with what's going on in Veravas?
Oh, sure. I mean, go to veravas.com. You can sign up, to to get updates and information. We are going to be making some additional changes to the website and as we evolve here. So be looking for that. But connect with me on LinkedIn. You can follow us again at veravas.com. And I would encourage all of your audience, if there's anyone in their family that is fearing this really challenging disease, to go talk to their doctor, have them sign up at veravas.com to order the test and know with a high degree of certainty of
Yeah.
what's going on in the brain, so you can do something about it, because it gives you peace of mind either way.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I hope all of our listeners hear that for sure. All right. I love ending the show on this question, which I might know the answer to already for you, but John, what's most inspiring to you today?
Well, again, I think it's the opportunity to make a difference.
Mm,
I
mm,
wake up every morning. I tell my team all the time, we have to get this out into the market. And what's inspiring me is how much good that we can do with this test in particular, in a time when a lot of changes are going on in Alzheimer's. A lot of people are impacted by dementia because we're getting older. We're not eating the best foods. We're not doing the right things. And I think, wow, the future is bright. It's not the end of the world. We are going to make a difference here. And it all starts with today.
yeah. So good. Love that answer. John, this was just such an amazing conversation, something that not only did we learn about business, but just as people that have loved ones, we learned information that I think we all need and is so valuable. So thank you for sharing your story of Veravas. And I just want to encourage everyone watching today to really do save this channel and go check out veravas.com and connect with John on LinkedIn. Also, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. But John, of course, special thank you to you. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks, Heather. I really appreciate it.
We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.